As a young princess, Liana was always obedient and did as she was told, even when it came to her arranged marriage to Prince Daniel of a neighboring kingdom. She had never even met the prince, but she knew it was her duty to marry him and unite the two kingdoms. However, Liana had a secret that she had kept hidden from everyone, even her closest friends. She was in love with a commoner named Ethan, who was actually a skilled swordsman training to become a member of the royal guard. Liana met Ethan when she snuck out of the castle one night to watch the royal guard training. She had always been fascinated by sword fighting and couldn't resist the opportunity to see the guard in action. Ethan noticed her watching and offered to give her a private lesson. From that moment on, Liana and Ethan were inseparable. They met in secret whenever they could, practicing sword fighting and falling more in love with each other every day. But Liana knew that their love was forbidden. She was betrothed to Prince Daniel, and Ethan was a commoner. If anyone found out about their relationship, it could mean disaster for both of them. So Liana kept their love a secret, even when Ethan asked her to run away with him and start a new life together. "I can't, Ethan," Liana said as she held back tears. "I have a duty to my kingdom and to my family. I can't just abandon everything I've ever known for my own happiness." "I understand," Ethan said, taking Liana's hand in his. "But I want you to know that I love you and I will always be here for you, no matter what happens, even if it means watching you marry someone else." Liana's heart ached at the thought of marrying someone other than Ethan, but she knew it was her duty. She just hoped that one day things would work out for them and they could be together. Ethan was part of a group of rebels who were plotting to overthrow the corrupt ruling king and queen who had brought the kingdom to the brink of ruin with their greed and selfishness. The rebels believed that the kingdom needed new leaders who would listen to the people and govern justly. One day, Ethan came to Liana with a serious look on his face. "Liana, I have to tell you something important," he said. "I'm part of a group of rebels who are planning to overthrow the king and queen. We can't let them continue to rule and destroy our kingdom any longer." Liana's eyes widened in shock. "Ethan, are you serious? That's treason. If you're caught, you'll be executed." "I know the risks, Liana, but I have to do this. I can't stand by and watch our kingdom suffer any longer. Will you support me in this?" Liana's heart raced as she considered Ethan's request. She knew that the rebels had a good cause, but she also knew the danger they were facing. And if she chose to support Ethan and the rebels, she would be going against her duty to her kingdom and her family. "I don't know, Ethan," Liana said, wringing her hands nervously. "I want to help you, but I don't want to see you get hurt. Or worse." "I understand your concerns, Liana," Ethan said, taking her hand in his. "But I need to know if I can count on you. Will you stand by me and help me fight for a better future for our kingdom?" Liana was silent for a moment, trying to process everything that Ethan had just told her. She knew that the ruling king and queen were corrupt and that they were bringing the kingdom to ruin with their greed and selfishness. She had seen the suffering of the people firsthand and had even secretly donated some of her own wealth to help those in need. But Liana also knew that supporting Ethan and the rebels meant going against her duty to her kingdom and her family. She would be defying her arranged marriage to Prince Daniel and risking everything she had ever known. But as Liana looked into Ethan's eyes, she knew that she could not turn her back on the people who were suffering under the corrupt rulers. She could not ignore the injustices happening in her kingdom any longer. "Ethan, I will stand by you and the rebels," Liana said firmly. "I cannot ignore the suffering of my people any longer. I will do everything I can to help you bring about a better future for our kingdom." Ethan's face lit up with a mixture of surprise and joy. "Thank you, Liana. I knew I could count on you. You won't regret this." Liana hoped that Ethan was right. She was determined to do whatever it took to help him and the rebels succeed, even if it meant risking everything. She just hoped that in the end, good would prevail and they would be able to create a better future for their kingdom. Liana and Ethan worked tirelessly to gather support for the rebellion and gather evidence against the ruling king and queen. They traveled throughout the kingdom, meeting with other rebels and convincing people to join their cause. Liana used her status as a princess to gain access to the castle and gather information about the corrupt rulers. She risked her life every time she snuck out of the castle to meet with Ethan and the rebels, but she knew it was worth it to bring about change. As they got closer to their goal, Liana and Ethan started to notice strange occurrences that seemed to be working against them. Meetings were disrupted, information was leaked, and they even suspected that someone was trying to poison Ethan. "Do you think there's a traitor in our midst?" Liana asked Ethan one day as they sat in a secret meeting place discussing their next move. "I'm not sure, but it's a possibility," Ethan said, frowning. "We need to be extra careful and watch for anyone acting suspicious." Liana nodded, her heart heavy with the thought of betrayal. She couldn't believe that someone within their group would try to sabotage their efforts. But she knew that they had to stay vigilant and be ready for anything. Despite the danger and the possibility of betrayal, Liana and Ethan remained determined to see their plan through to the end. They knew that they were fighting for a just cause, and they were willing to do whatever it took to bring about change. Liana and Ethan were finally able to uncover the traitor in their midst. It was a shock to both of them when they found out who it was, a member of the rebels who had been with them from the start. "I can't believe it," Liana said, her voice shaking with anger and betrayal as they confronted the traitor. "Why, Robert? Why would you do this to us?" Robert, the traitor, sneered at them. "Because I was promised a large sum of money by the ruling king and queen," he spat out. "They offered me a deal I couldn't refuse, turn against you, and help them keep their throne or suffer the consequences." Liana and Ethan were disgusted by Robert's betrayal. They knew they couldn't let him go free and risk him revealing their plans to the ruling king and queen. They decided to imprison him in a secret location and keep him under guard until after the rebellion was successful. "You will pay for your betrayal," Ethan said sternly as they handed Robert over to their guards. "But for now, you are of no use to us. You will be kept in a secret location where you cannot reveal our plans or harm us in any way." Robert sneered at them one last time before being dragged away, but Liana and Ethan paid him no heed. They were relieved to have uncovered the traitor and were more determined than ever to see their rebellion through to the end. They knew that they had to be cautious and stay one step ahead of the ruling king and queen if they were to succeed. Liana and Ethan were finally ready to launch their rebellion against the ruling king and queen. They had gathered a strong group of rebels and had even gained the support of some unlikely allies, including former members of the royal guard who were fed up with the corrupt rulers. On the day of the rebellion, Liana and Ethan stood at the head of their army, ready to face the ruling king and queen and their loyal followers. The battle was fierce and lasted for hours, but in the end, the rebels emerged victorious. The ruling king and queen were overthrown and arrested for their crimes, and Liana and Ethan were hailed as heroes. The people rejoiced as Liana and Ethan took their rightful place on the throne and vowed to rule justly and bring prosperity and happiness to the kingdom once again. As they sat on their thrones, looking out at the cheering crowds, Liana turned to Ethan and smiled. "We did it," she said, taking his hand in hers. "We brought about a better future for our kingdom." "We couldn't have done it without you, Liana," Ethan replied, squeezing her hand. "You are the bravest and most loyal person I know, and I am so grateful to be by your side." Liana blushed at Ethan's words and leaned in to kiss him. She knew that they still had a lot of work to do to restore the kingdom to its former glory, but she was confident that with Ethan by her side, they could accomplish anything. And as she kissed him, she knew that she had finally found her happily ever after.